Guess for the exam cram session, video 16. Okay, yes, the flashcards. So, this sheet that I mentioned that comes with the physical book, or if you want to download the PDF version, it's on the PDF page. It's not a big deal right now. In fact, I think it's advanced extra research or study or whatever. I think it might even be a little too more for the test, but it's there. You know, it's not something to worry about right now. We will get to it at a later point in these videos. I bring it up only because this sheet is similar to, you'll notice this is a second sheet. I have a first sheet for plumbing flashcards. It goes out with the plumbing course. It's the first thing I tell guys to do, you know? The first thing. They go home first day, they're going to take that sheet. It's a lot of little writing in there. They're going to take their index cards and they're going to make flashcards. And I tell them, looks like a lot, sounds like a lot. It is a lot. But studying is not just sitting at your kitchen table with a whole bunch of books or going to the library where you know, maybe some guys prefer the library or whatever, someplace where they're going to have a bunch of books and they're going to just, they're studying. Studying is many different things. Even just preparing stuff for studying is part of studying. You can't go through your flashcards if you don't make your flashcards. So Victor, why not make the flashcards for us? It's like guys say, you know, if you could make the cards in a box, it's like we would buy them. It's like, I wrestled with that idea on account of, I liked it. I thought it was a great idea. You know, that would be kind of nice. That would be an awesome extra thing with the cards made up nice, you know, professionally, blah, blah, blah. In the end, I decided no. Because if, and regardless of the money, let's say it's just included or whatever, giving out a whole set of ready-made flashcards in the interest of keeping to the idea of this is the most efficient, concise, proven method of preparing for the exams possible sounds like a good idea until you realize I've just taken away the sensory input that they would have gotten if they made the cards themselves. No. Okay? These when you make your flashcards, you could actually, I do my flashcards watching TV. When I do my flashcards, I have no intention of studying them. I have no intention of learning. This is the information I need to put down. I'm just going to copy it. Just copy exactly what's there. Don't need to look at it. Don't need to worry about it. Don't need to memorize it because I'm watching my show. And if I'm really watching my show, well, fine. I'll do it during the commercials. It's getting done. Tomorrow in the morning, they go in my pocket. I go to work. At work, because I did the work. And I consider that part of studying also. I consider that doing something every day. I said, even a little bit each day. Well, making them, that goes towards it. You know, that's studying. Okay? So, same thing with you. You know, you're making your flashcards. Maybe you're going through the actual code or the test or this or that, or for the tables. That doesn't have to be a dragged out, intense thing. That you could do that in front of the TV. And I consider that just as valuable as going through the test in the part of the day when you're most alert. I think the test should be done at your mental best. If you're a morning person, that's when you're doing them. I think the actual code in plain English, you know, just reading, looking at it, I would say I think like lunchtime is the best time because, well, all you got to do is sit in front of you, look at it because your hands are on a sandwich and a soda, whatever. So that's perfect, you know. And then I would say theory and things, you know, the pictures and stuff like that, you know, that's something you know, it's written more in the style of, say, a magazine article. When do you read a magazine? Well, not when you're studying. You read a magazine, it's kind of like pleasure reading. You know, it's more informal reading. Theory and ethics are good, you know. You like to read on the toilet? Here you go. Just grab the book and read that on the toilet. Go over the pictures over and over again. Okay, studying is, you know, you gotta cater it to your natural highs and lows, to how receptive or non-receptive you are, and also to your day. You know, you work for a living. You come home at night, you know, you want some time to decompress. You know, you want to go to sleep. You can fit this somehow, some way, depending on how alert or how not alert, depending on how motivated or non-motivated you are. You can fit studying into every single one of those minutes during the day that go wasted. That if you added them all up, you have way more time than you think you do. Okay? So those wasted minutes that, you know, normally that just go by, now you're putting them to good use. Flashcards themselves, you're standing there waiting for a delivery, or you're waiting for the boss to get to you, or you're just waiting, doing nothing. Flashcards, those few minutes. In 5 minutes, you can learn one more card, you know, or reinforce information. 5 minutes. You can do a lot, so that's good. So, enough of flashcards. And like we said, oh, Jesus Christ, a boring gas meter over 15 psi in a 3-hour rated room if the pipe is over 4, you know, I mean, that kind of sounds like parking rules, you know. You can only park here if it's raining on a day that ends with an X in a leap year, right? That's pretty much any parking spot in the city of New York, so you're pretty much going to get a ticket no matter what. You know, they're not even trying to, you know, trying to be fair about it, right? That's what that sentence sounds like to me. Okay? All right. Question 17. Outside meter installations, and remember we could use galvanized piping for that, shall be permitted in areas where the utility certifies distribution of, well, I would say already, just common sense, I would say dry gas, because if it's outside in New York, we have freezing temperatures in New York, and you're running wet gas, and wet gas is wet enough to require sloping and some pocket, some place to receive the condensate. You don't want it to freeze, you know. So dry gas, it's got to be certified dry gas to run the gas, to put the meter on the outside, and it's all certified dry gas now. Question 23. When located inside a building, gas meters shall be protected from, would be question D, extreme cold or heat. Okay? Putting it inside the building generally will protect it from intense cold, unless of course there's a broken window or the meter room is not, you know, it's got its venting, but it's also got a big hole in the wall where a draft is blowing through. But more often, since it's inside, and if we're inside the building, you know, I would say, hey, maybe we're in the basement, maybe we're next to the boiler room, it might get too hot, correct? So we don't want it extreme cold or heat, because the meter itself has delicate parts in it. You subject the meter to too high a temperature, too low a temperature, you trashed it. Okay. Let's look at the other choices. We got rats, dust, insects. Okay. Well, meters are made of aluminum, so the rats, I think they're going to want to chew on something else. Dust, the meters are sealed. Insects. Insects do play a part. We remember them being mentioned. Where were they mentioned? The vent terminals. Those little cowls. They're also known as peck vents. Those little vents, they got to have some kind of mesh in there to keep bugs from going in there. No wasp nests, no spider webs, no just a whole bunch of dead insects collecting. They specifically designed to keep insects out. So, Question 24. Gas meter room signs. Gas meter room signs, not pipe identification. That has a whole different set of criteria. Gas meter room signs shall have bold type lettering saying gas meter room. At least 1 inch high. So, it can be several sizes. It's not that it's only one particular size, but this sign that says gas meter room, and it's important to have the sign for several reasons. One of them being that the electric meter room tells the firemen, don't use water in here. But if it's the gas meter room, there's no electric panels in there. Your options, you now have the option of you could use water to put out the fire. So it's nice to know, And I don't know if you ever noticed this, but in case you haven't noticed, and it kind of seems like a common sense thing, or like, yeah, that makes total sense. You're never going to have a sign that says gas and meter room. That's not going to happen. It's like the gas meter, a source of combustible stuff. The electric meter room, a source of ignition. Both rooms should be ventilated in such a way that there is an exchange of air or something. So that's your air for combustion, right? Yeah, that sounds like one of the worst ideas in the world. So your sign is either going to be a gas meter room or an electric meter room on 2 separate doors for 2 separate rooms. You're never going to see gas and electric on the same sign. But besides that, how big should the letters be? At least 1 inch high, okay? So that they're visible from a respectable distance. So when the firemen are running into the basement, they look at this, they can see without having to go up to the sign. Oh, gas, correct? Another thing about the code. We have a fire code, okay? The fire department, FDNY, they have their code. It's a fire code, applies to everyone, everywhere. Fires we don't want. But there is a vein of a fire code that works its way through all the codes. Okay? There are a lot of times you're going to see some strange numbers, some strange things that they keep asking for and saying like, why are we nitpicking? We're not nitpicking. Sometimes it pays. I like to imagine that I am a firefighter. Or imagine a firefighter and just picture in your mind all the steps they have to go through to get to the fire, set up for the fire, put out the fire, clean up after the fire. Most people don't realize once the fire is out, they're still there because there's still work they got to do before they can just leave. If you start thinking about all the things they have to do, I mean, really imagine from their point of view, then you start realizing, oh, okay, they got to be 1 inch high because at 1 inch high, it's like, I'm the firefighter, I get into the basement, the quicker I can ascertain where all the important stuff is, the better. Well, a sign with letters you can read from, most likely from the entrance to the basement itself, that's that many seconds you saved. Now you know what you're working with, what you're up against. It'll come up again. So sometimes if you think the code is nitpicking or you're wondering like that's a little strange or whatever, start thinking like a fireman and then the code makes perfect sense. Okay, so we said 1 inch high. 1 inch is easy to remember. 1 inch, right? Okay, 25. When gas meters and equipment are located in an open floor area, we don't have a meter room, no combustible material shall be stored within how many feet of the equipment? And here it is 10 feet, okay? Take this to heart because there's 2 questions in the same vein. So, in this one, no combustible material shall be stored within how many feet of the equipment? 10 feet, okay? Sometimes it helps to draw a picture. So later, you remember you drew a picture, the picture looked like something, and, okay, we got an open floor area, okay? A loft, right? You know, we got, let's just put the meter right in the middle, okay? Would it be in the middle? Probably not, but for the sake of this, right? Combustibles, right? No combustibles within 10 feet, okay? So any little thing that'll catch on fire, catch on fire, catch on fire, catch on, all this stuff that can catch on fire, not within 10 feet, all right? So, and in the interest of keeping to like whatever it takes to remember this stuff, in my mind's eye, I'm going to think, well, let's say I forget 10. You know, I'm struggling between 10 and another number. Well, within 10 feet, I drew this picture. Here's a nice big round 0. Here's a nice big 1 because this was an open area. So 10. 10, open area, combustible, 10 feet. No combustibles within 10 feet, right? Because question 26 asks us almost the same, but it ain't the same. When gas meters and equipment are located in an open floor area, the gas meter shall not be within how many feet of any heating boiler or source of ignition? Okay. This first one is combustible materials. These are materials that if you had a way of starting a fire, here's your fuel to keep it going. Bad. But they're not on fire themselves. They don't have the ability to self-combust, okay? 10 feet. But let's change it. Now we're saying we're still in an open area. We're still in a loft, right? Let's do it again. Here's our loft. For the sake of argument, our meter's right here, right? In fact, I'll put the square, right? Our meter's right here, right? Now, we got a boiler, right? A heating boiler. A boiler already has a pilot flame that, or some sort of pilot ignition that's going to light the bigger burner. This is a fire. It's not an open flame, it's a contained flame, it's controlled combustion, but it's still there. Or source of ignition, anything that could be a source of ignition, that could start a fire under the right conditions. The gas meter can't be anywhere within 5 feet of it. So I'm not going to draw a circle because I kind of like that memory imprint from the other thing. So let's just say 5. Here's our boiler, right? And this is a nice blocky picture. Blocks everywhere. Meter, boiler, loft. Well, what's the distance here? Well, we know it's not going to be 10 because we're going to remember that it's not the same as the other one. So, what was the other one? The other one is 10. Well, it ain't 10. That's always a good start. Knowing what it ain't is sometimes just as important as knowing what it is. It ain't 10. So what's it going to be? Well, I would say, what's more dangerous? A big old pile of newspapers or the flame that could ignite the big old pile of newspapers? I would say the flame is most dangerous. A big old pile of newspapers is dangerous, but it's not a fire until you introduce fire. Keep fire away, it's safe for the time being. More dangerous is the fire itself. Where would we have fire? From the boiler. So I would say the distance has to be shorter, and in keeping with the code, 5 sounds good. Half the distance, okay? So, 5 feet, all right? 5 feet, okay? And even the 5 is a little blocky here. I know I'm getting crazy now, but this is how it goes in my head, and, you know, you might find that might help, or you might find better ways, or maybe you don't need it at all, you know? Maybe you're good with just seeing it. Everyone's got their own thing, but Boiler or any other source of ignition, you got to have it at least 5 feet away. The meter can't be closer than 5 feet to the boiler or source of ignition. So those are the two things, 10 and 5, 10 and 5, 10 and 5. Okay? Combustibles, 10. Source of ignition, 5. Source of ignition seems a little more dangerous than just stuff that can ignite. Because the meter's not going to ignite anything. The meter is also a combustible. The meter has no source of ignition to it. You know? Boiler has a source of ignition. A source of ignition has a source of ignition, right? Okay. Question 27. No gas service shall enter a structure, nor shall any meter or regulator be located less than how many feet horizontally from the cellar termination of a stairway, unless located under such stairway. Okay, so this one here, they're worried about, this is the same concern you have when you're laying out your bathroom. The code is specific that you're going to lay out your bathroom such that the toilet doesn't stop the door from opening. Okay? That's what it happens. It happens, you know, in proper planning. It happens, like you know, you open the door to the bathroom, it's like boom, and you got to go in the bathroom and you realize some idiot put the toilet in the way of the swing of the door. Same thing for the meter. Cellar, let's see, what's their exact wording? Cellar termination of a stairway. That's a big word for saying the foot of the stairs. Okay? Here's your cellar, grade. Here's the stairs, right? So, let me make it look like, no, we can do this, right? So, boom, 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 boom. All right? Cellar termination, the end of stairway. So, the foot of the stairs, right? This is the foot of the stairs. Let's say our meter, and by meter we mean the meter and any piping itself, shall not be anywhere near this foot of the stairs unless anywhere near, let's see, less than 10 feet. So, from the meter to the foot of the stairs, it's got to be at least 10 feet away. Unless, of course, the meter and the piping itself are underneath the stairs. Because then now, it's not interfering. One, it's not interfering with the stairs, and two, it won't suffer from being too close to the stairs. Because, well, what do you do with stairs? Sometimes you bring stuff up and down. You know, if you're bringing down a large item, like let's say, I don't know, the water heater gave out. So you got to bring a new water heater down. You're bringing it down. One, it could start banging, hitting against it, or even worse, you lost control of the heater and went down and crashed on it. I mean, it's a lot of reasons why you'd want to maintain clearance between the foot of the stairs and the meter. This is a high traffic area. This is a point where stuff can happen. You don't want stuff to happen to the meter. 10 feet, okay? And we can remember it in that we kept talking about meter and location, combustibles, 10 feet away. Source of ignition, 5 feet. But 5 feet now is going to stick out as the anomaly because meter, 2 foot of stairs, 10 feet. So more things are 10 than 5. Another way to think of it in your head, right? Unless, of course, it's under the stairs. That makes sense. I don't care if you lose control of the water heater. It's going to go down, boom, 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 crash. It's not going to go on this side. It's protected by the stairs itself, okay? So, 10 feet. Okay, and question 28. Gas service piping shall be fitted with a gas service line valve located within how many feet from where the service enters the building? Okay. So, once again, let's say they're talking about entering the building. So, if we're entering the building, usually cellar or basement, so they love the word cellar, so let's say it's again grade, cellar. Here's the main and the street, the service is coming in, right? We're going to need a valve. We always need a control valve. You know, the main valve, the control valve. So, we're going to have a valve, right? Good. This is the code. There's a place for everything and everything in its place. So they're asking, where does the valve go? This main control valve. Gas service piping shall be fitted with a gas service line valve. The main valve, gas service line valve. That's their wording for it. Located within 2 feet from where the service enters the building. 2 feet. Within 2 feet. So, the minute it enters, as soon as you can get a valve on it, but no more than 2 feet, that valve goes on. So, 2 feet. And I told you the code loves the number 2, not 2 1/4, because that was what was that? That was the width of the face of the dial, an analog dial, right? Every time, another thing I like to do, I do it in my head, so I'm going to do it as we go through the videos, is constantly, whenever we see a number, I try to remember also where else that number was, because now that one number is my trigger to a list of information, okay? But that comes from we build, we keep getting used to, you know? I could say the number 5. And some of you might think 5, Fifth Avenue. And all of a sudden you're thinking of Manhattan. And all of a sudden you're thinking of the stores of Manhattan. Or on Fifth Avenue, there's the big library. Next to the big library, if we go north, you know, get to stores like Fortunoff or Tiffany's, etc. If we keep going up, we're, if this is Fifth Avenue, we're talking about the plaza and the lower, what do we call it? The southeast corner of Central Park. That's a lot of stuff to think about. I wasn't thinking about it. You know, if you ask me to give you a list right away, I'm not going to list, you know, I'm not going to bring you a list like that, but I started with Fifth Avenue, imagined next to it, what's after that, keep going up. I could have gone south, there's stuff there to remember. Your brain works the same way for all of this stuff, right? Okay, let yourself be triggered. Use parts of your mind that you're not aware of. They're there, you know. In fact, they kind of, I like to think of the higher functions of the brain as being so up there that they choose to not let my conscious self know what's going on because, well, it's not necessary, you know. It's, how should I say, they like to let me think I'm in control because it's a lot easier for them to get their stuff done right than letting me know everything that's going on, because then I'll just make things more complicated, okay? And you know what? I'm willing to accept that my higher functions in my mind that I'm not aware of might be smarter than me. So maybe I should let them do their thing, okay? All right, let's see. So we're going to say the gas service piping valve, or the main valve, the control valve, is going to be no more than 2 feet from where it enters. 2. That's a good number. I like that number. Question 29. Gas service piping outside a structure shall be buried not less than 24 inches below grade. Okay? This is a blanket statement because there's an exception. Let's start with, first off, you stick to this statement, you can never go wrong. Okay? This is the ground. This is your gas line. Two feet. 24 inches, 2 feet. We're plumbers. We know that there's a certain depth we got to bury the sewer. There's a certain depth we got to bury the water. You know, well, there's a certain depth you got to bury your gas lines. 2 feet. 2 feet for a gas line. The number 2 again. There we go again. 2 inches, 2 feet. And actually, this is all part of service, so it's fitting.